members of Mahasangha, Venerable Bhikkhunis, dear President Professor Manori Senayaka, dear Dhamma friends. First of all, let me thank Manori and the servants of the Buddha for inviting me to deliver this talk. Today I am going to talk on application of Noble Eightfold Path in day-to-day life. The primary objective or the principal objective of a Buddhist disciple is to end samsaric dukkha, the suffering in the cycle of births and deaths. In order to achieve this, the disciple should have a basic knowledge of the dukkha that he goes through samsara. That is the first noble truth. Also, he should have a knowledge regarding the cause for dukkha. Thirdly, he should have a basic knowledge regarding the dukkha-free state or the nibbana. And also, finally, he should have a basic knowledge of the Noble Eightfold Path. Now, this is the knowledge of Four Noble Truths. Now, Kalyana Mitra, Samma Sambuddha has delivered Dhamma during his ministry of 45 years. He has imparted the huge knowledge regarding all these what we mentioned. And the generations of Sangha had brought that down the generations for us to listen to Dhamma. And now we find in the printed form, we can read Dhamma. So that is the Sutame Jnana that we gain. So Kalyana Mitta or Kalyana Mittas or the noble friends have preached the Dhamma and also are preaching Dhamma. So Kalyana Mitta Sampada is there for us. And we listen to Dhamma, we hear Dhamma, we read Dhamma, so that the Saddhamma Savana is there for us. And we reflect on Dhamma in the proper way, so that we have the Yoniso Manasikara. Now these are three essentials that an individual should have in order to tread the path. Having said that, now we have to see, now in Dhamma, it is said, it is amply described and volumes are said about the dukkha. Buddha has reiterated that there is dukkha in the samsara. So to believe in it, you can partially understand from this life itself, but you have to have good confidence, good faith kept in Buddha to understand that there is dukkha through the listening and reading and the ways and means we got the knowledge from. Now, dukkha, Buddha says, sabbe dukkha, sabbe sankhara dukkha. All sankhara, everything around us and within us is dukkha. There is nothing that he sees that is not dukkha. And Samma Sambuddha says, the cause for dukkha is very quite visible to him. That cause is craving or tanha or attachment, whichever the way we say to describe it, based on ignorance. So not merely craving based on ignorance. Now we crave for things, we attach to many things around us and within us because of the ignorance. So ignorance is a main factor that goes together with the craving. So our attachment, our tanha, that is causing us to be in samsara, to be born again for rebecoming, is based on ignorance, avijja. Now, then we know that there is a dukkha free state, suffering free state that is described by Buddha. In many places, he has given a description, even though we don't comprehend Nibbana at this moment, because we have to attain Nibbana one thing, to comprehend it fully. So Buddha has given a description in certain places regarding the Nibbana aspect, the state free of dukkha. As well, Buddha has reiterated that Noble Eightfold Path is the path which is there to eliminate the cause and dukkha. So now, without having this knowledge of dukkha and the dukkha free state and the cause, no one of us would have embarked on practicing or treading the path. Because we have this basic knowledge, only we practice. Now there are certain people, certain individuals, disciples of other teachings, other thoughts. Now they don't have a basic. They may do some good. Certain factors, they may be okay, but they have no orientation. They have, they are practicing without any idea regarding the dukkha. So that we being Buddhist, we have got the basic knowledge, we have the basic idea, and it's the time for us to practice it somewhere. Now, when we come to before we come to the Arya-Atthangika Magga, we have to see that the Buddha has, in his first sermon, stated that there are two extreme practices that should be done away with, that should be given up by the practitioner who is embarking on the practice of Noble Eightfold Path. After giving up those extreme practices, only you come to the Majjhima Patipada. Now, these two practices are Atta Kilamatanu Yoga and Kamasukhallikanu Yoga. Atta Kilamatanu Yoga is self-tormentation, observing austerities, giving kind of torturing your body and mind by various practices. No other person than ascetic Siddhartha who practiced these austerities to the maximum. He tortured his body, self-tormentation. And he later, after 6 years, he didn't give up. He practiced it continuously under the guidance of the five ascetics. Later, he gave it up, knowing and understanding that there is no way that liberation can be achieved through these practices. So the liberation is the orientation. So what he says is liberation cannot be achieved through these practices. And also he goes into the Kama Sukhallikanu Yoga. Now Kama Sukhallikanu Yoga is more closer to the present day people who are living in this present world than the self-austerities, I would say. Because those are practices taught in certain kind of certain teachings, and those are to be observed by those disciples mostly. But in the present day, we see that a lot of entertainment is there. Kama Chanda is roused. You can see nice things, you can see, you can hear, you can taste, smell, touch. So much of sensual objects for you to enjoy. So that is quite closer, and it's only a subtle movement that we do from the path to the karma sensual pleasures in our lives. We have to be very aware of that. Now, Kama Sukallika Yoga is indulgence in the pleasures of the senses. Now, there are senses we receive and we perceive through our sense doors. And if someone gets too attached and indulged in those sensual pleasures, they do it for a reason. Now, the population today at large, think that there is no solution to our boredom. There is no solution to our suffering, no solution to our stress. So what they do is they go and embrace the enjoyment of the sensual pleasures. So that's quite a common phenomenon in the world. So that is the very thing which hinders you very much in the practice of Aryattangika Marga. And Buddha gives a strong statement regarding the Kamasukallikana Yoga than the statement he gave for the Attakilamatana Yoga. He says, he no gammo anariyo anatta sakito. Buddha says here, he no. This Kama Sukallikana Yoga is a very low quality, low observance. And Gammo. Gammo means Gamma means in Sinhala gram. It's a quality of very ordinary people who have no proper intelligence. Gammo. Potu Janiko. This is a practice of the people who are having their defilements, who are full of defilements. Potu Janiko. Anariyo. It's ignoble. I can't say it's noble. Ignoble. Anatta Sanghito, it leads to calamity. It leads to no good, no benefits you gain from it. So you can see the strong statement, because he gave a statement, Anariyo Anatta Sanghito for the Attakilamatani. But this he condemned furthermore. Now it's quite relevant to us in this day and era, because Kama Sukallikana Yoga is rampant in this world, I would say. So now we may go into a kind of a thought that we are not taking the extremes, but a little bit of that is okay. That is how we generally justify ourselves. Little bit is okay, but not the extremes. We are not in the extremes of these two, but a little bit of any of these is okay. Some of the Buddhists go and roll on the ground and on soil for vows and rituals. Some people are hung by the hooks and sway like a swing. This is with some expectation of some liberation and consolation. These are being seen even now, and walking on fire. So these are all rituals they have adopted. These are all extremes. And not as what Buddha did, but they are also in that category. And Kamachanda is also like that. Now, Buddha said that Kama Sukallikana is not good, but he didn't show any boundary. Now, beyond this is the extreme of Kama Sukallikana. He never said that. He never said that. Now, I'll quote an example of a monk who had gone, not an example of I am creating an example. The monk has gone forth, leaving everything in the world with a nekkhamma sankalpa to attain Nibbana. He is a monk who is practicing his Arya Attangika Mantra to the letter, meditating, doing everything during the full day. Such monks are there even now. Now, if this monk recollects a song, a beautiful song heard, he has heard, he has listened to when he was a lay person, he will not sing it. Why? Because that's a distraction. Because he is a dedicated monk. Even that little karma, he will not enjoy. Because he knows that's a hindrance, it goes beyond, he goes beyond his practice. And so for that monk, even that little karma is Kama Sukallikana Yoga. Because it causes a huge hindrance to him if he starts practicing singing that song. So you can see it depends on the time, depends on the individual, depends on the practice. Now, this is the very reason Buddha wanted people to go forth and practice in a monastery if he really wants to dedicate himself for liberation. So even though from the self-austerities to Kama Sukallikana Yoga, there is a wide spectrum. Not only that what he meant, what Buddha meant was anything other than the Arya Attangika Magga, if somebody practices, it amounts to a hindrance for his practice. So yeah, we have to take it in that flavor. Don't think of only the two extremes and keep quiet. Any Silabbata Paramas, any kind of practice you do other than practicing Buddha Dhamma, especially the Arya Attangika Magga, anything other than that will be a hindrance. It will be a wrong practice. So having said all that, we come to the practice of now Arya Attangika Magga, the application of Arya Attangika Magga. Now this is a huge topic. You don't know where to start and where to end. Because even if you describe the factors alone, it will take another hour. So I will go through one of the key points that we have to remember. Now, a person, I am talking about the person who is fully dedicated, committed to Nibbana or committed to liberation. Sometimes we may still not be in that category. Even though we try hard to practice, still we may not be there. Now, this is regarding a person who wants to liberate in this life itself. So, Buddha says the person who is dedicated should be committed to his practice. There is no way a loose, half-hearted practice can be recommended, committed. And his dedication must be very high. And his orientation should be always Nibbana. So you can see, even hearing this, how difficult for us to adjust our minds in this day-to-day life. Even hearing that kind of totally dedicated. His orientation is nothing more other than Nibbana. And he is fully committed and he is immersed in the practice. Every moment he is in the practice. Can we do this is our question. If you practice little by little, You will also do that, I am sure. That is not a distant task. It's within yourself, that your dedication, your commitment, and your orientation and your immersion in the Dhamma. So now, Dhamma friends, having that dedication, we come to the practice of Aryatangika Marga. Pardon me if I don't give you a big description of all the factors, because all those you know of, but I will try to give you some key points here. Now, when you are practicing as an ordinary Putujjana. Now, ordinary Putujjana's practice is very different from the practice of a Seka Pudgala. Now, Seka Pudgala is the person who has at least attained Sohan. From Sohan, Sakradagami, Anagami up to Arahant, he is a Seka Pudgala. Arahant is a Aseka Pudgala. So, Seka Pudgala is a person who treads the path. He is the actual stream winner. Stream here is the Aryatangika Magga. The truly the Aryatangika Magga can be practiced practiced properly with dedication only by the ones who have attained beyond Sohan, at least the Sohan, Sakrudagami, Anagami. So they are facilitated. Their minds are noble minds. So these noble minds comprehend the Dhamma in a very different way. So Buddha says the Arya Attangika Magga has two kinds, he says. The mundane Arya Attangika Magga and the supra-mundane Arya Attangika Magga. Now when you say mundane Arya Attangika Magga, that is the description we find most of the time in our printed matter, and that is the Aryatangika Magga practice we hear from the monks most of the time, not all. Now this division is shown in Mahachattarika Sutta. In Mahachattarika Sutta, Buddha describes there is Miccha factors and Samma factors. We are talking about these 8. And Samma factors are of two kinds. Mundane Samma factors and supra-mundane Samma factors. Now to tell you, we have no way of completely practicing the supra-mundane eightfold path. Why we are practicing the mundane eightfold path is to come to that level. Slowly but steadily, we have to come to the level of supra-mundane practice. So to do that, we have to sorry about the interruption. To do that, we have to properly tread the path in the mundane side. Now, just to give you a kind of knowledge about the supra-mundane, Samma Sambuddha has said, supra-mundane Aryatangika Magga is a Lokuttara Magga, beyond the worldly behavior. Lokuttara Magga. It's a Magganga. It's the factor of the Magga Chitta, Magganga. It's Aryo, noble. It's quite a noble one. So it's Arya Lokuttara Magganga. So this is not our mind. In the noble mind, supramundane situation, and it's a factor of the Magga Chitta. Magga Chitta, you know, if you take the Arahant Magga Chitta is the one which completely eradicates all the defilement. In that mind only, the supramundane Ariyatangika Magga occurs. Because you go into a supramundane type of concentration or samadhi in that mind. When you go into that supramundane type of samadhi, it's the eighth factor. But it's a supramundane type of samadhi which sees with wisdom, which sees the real working of the samsaric life, real working of what we are. And that is a vidarshana concentration. For that, all other factors come and help in that mind. So Samma Ditti, Samma Sankappa, Samma Vacha, Samma Kammantu, Samma Ajiva, Samma Vayama, and Samma Sati become pillars to that concentrated mind. These I am talking about the Arahant Magga Chitta. So in that Chitta only, you get all these factors fully matured coming together. No other time before that in our mundane lives that all these factors come together in one mind. So that is the power of the Magga mind. So when you come to the factors, it takes Samma Ditti. Now when you say Samma Ditti is the right view. But before coming to Samma Ditti, there is a Miccha Ditti. Miccha Ditti, in short, in the mundane way of talking, Miccha Ditti is somebody who doesn't have any kind of confidence, sometimes no confidence in the samsaric life. They don't believe in karma and karma vipaka. They don't believe in their parents as special people. They don't believe, not sometimes one or two, maybe that the factor that they don't believe. Now, there are some people who don't believe all this. There is nothing, no fruits of whatever is given, no vipaka. Whatever is offered has no vipaka. Large scale offering has no vipaka. There is no previous birth, this birth, or next birth. And nobody is special regarding parents. Parents are like all other people and they have no special qualities. So these are very dangerous trends. When somebody doesn't believe in a sansara, now spontaneous birth is not there. We also don't see, but with confidence we believe in it, because otherwise you can't do a practice. So spontaneous birth is not believed in. And also they don't believe, the worst of all, there is no Buddha or an individual or a Brahma or a recluse who had understood Dhamma on his own and preaching the world regarding the past birth, this birth and next birth, how the karma works. They don't believe. So such a view, those are views. Such a view, all 10 or one of them, such a view coming to your mind can be a very dangerous trend. Now, say for example, the person who doesn't believe in parents as people with special qualities, for him, he can even commit a heinous crime by killing them. And he is in real darkness in the samsara if he does that. So it's a very, very dangerous situation, even though we don't see. Not believing the karma and the vipaka, not believing the qualities of parents, not believing the samsaric journey is a very dangerous thing, because those people will never do good things if they are in the real michadipti. Now, what I want to highlight here is, when you practice this kind of factor, we have taken the first factor. When you practice this factor, you have to know that samadhi, in whichever the practice, in which when you are practicing whichever the factor, samadhi comes as the forerunner. So that is highlighted and reiterated by Buddha. Samaditting pubbangam. So whenever a michaditti occurs in the mind, samaditthi is the guide light that will show that to you. So mere showing that you are in a wrong view itself is a samaditthi. A samaditthi showing you that you are in michaditti. So very understanding you get that you are in michaditti is a samaditthi. If you know that you are in michaditti, that is samaditthi that is showing you. So it is the forerunner. As well, the samaditthi is the one which shows that you are in samaditthi. You are in samaditthi is also shown by the samadhi. So you can see the samaditthi is the forerunner, and when we practice all the factors, samaditthi is practiced. Now, by practicing, by understanding the michaditti, when you are in michaditti, and by understanding you are in samadhitti, when you are in samadhitti, is a practice actually. It's not a knowledge, it's a practice. So when you keep on practicing this, it becomes your habit, like learning to play a violin. It becomes a habit. You become a maestro on reflecting, so that these factors, as you practice the factor, stronger the factor becomes. More you practice, stronger the factor becomes. So that is a brief account of samadhi becoming the show. So to practice samadhi also, the samadhi becomes the guideline, the forerunner. And then the samasati comes in. Samasati comes in and shows that, becomes aware of the situation. Non-judgmental awareness is by samasati. Non-judgmental awareness by samasati. So samasati becomes aware that you are in this thought. Samadhi shows you that this is michaditti you are in now. And then the third factor, the samma vayam, the wise effort or the right effort comes there to take you, deliver out of the michaditti. So Buddha says, with the practice of all the factors, these three have to come in. Samadhi, Samma Vayam and Samma Sati have to come in. So when you practice, when you are in Michaditti, to deliver you from Michaditti, there is an immense effort that you have to put. That is a Samma Vayam. And when you come to the Samadhi, to maintain the Samadhi, you have to use your effort and be in the Samma Sati. And also, if I go through one or two, maybe one factor, and in the mundane life, now this we thought of all these factors, we told all are mundane views, which we said about the rebirth, about the about the karma and vipaka, all are mundane things that we see. But samma ditti doesn't end there. If somebody can think of the dukkha nature of life, that's a samma ditti. If somebody can see the anicca, dukkha, anatta nature of life, samsara, that is samma ditti. So whenever, if you can see the paticca samuppada in life, day-to-day life, your routine life, that is a samma ditti. So this samma ditti doesn't end with those 10 types of samma ditti. It goes beyond that. Now this is a kind of vidarshana samma ditti. So comprehending the thinking about the Four Noble Truths, understanding the Four Noble Truths, going down the understanding and learning the Four Noble Truths in your mind, becoming confident, that is all samadhi. I'll just touch on to highlight what I said. The second factor, I'm so sorry if I can't go through the whole thing. The second thing is Samma Sankappa. Now, Samma Ditti and Samma Sankappa are taken as Pranya, Panya, wisdom. Now, when you say Samma Sankappa, there is a Michya Sankappa. Michya Sankappa is your Kama Sankappa. That means your thoughts of getting attached to sensual things, Kama Sankappa. Then you have the Vyapada Sankappa, your angry thoughts. Then you have the thoughts of cruelty, Vihimsa Sankappa. So those are the three we commonly understand as bad or the wrong or the Michya Sankappa. Now the Samma Ditti comes here. Now during your normal life, if you get an idea or a thought of harming someone or scolding someone or doing something very harsh to someone, that means you have got a Vyapada Sankappa. So the Samma Ditti comes here in the practitioner, not in every person, to show that you are in a Michya Sankappa. Now, if you are going down a lane of Kama Sankappa, where you are enjoying and attaching to something which is detrimental to your practice, so the Samma Ditti will come and show you that there is Kama Sankappa in you. Likewise, if you have a kind of harming the thoughts of cruelty in you, it will show that you are in that. You may not have done it, but before doing it, your thoughts are there. Now, if the awareness or Samma Sati come to play here, and it becomes quite aware of that thought which has happened. And the Samma Ditti comes here and show that you are in Michya Ditti. Then the Samma Vayama comes here and play the role and put a full effort to take you out of, deliver you out of the Michya Sankappa. The Samma Sankappa is the opposite. You may, during your life, your living day, you will get some Metta Sankappa. Now that is a Sankappa which is quite contrary to the Vyapada Sankappa, Avyapada Sankappa. Avyapada Sankappa means non-hatred, where you develop Metta. So these Metta, when occurs, you should develop. The Samma Ditti will show you that you are in Metta. Samma Vayama will tell you to develop that metta and do and practice the metta. So that is how in day-to-day life we must make use of that. So if you are in a Nekkhamma Sankappa, I will take the Nekkhamma Sankappa more than the cruelty aspect. Now Nekkhamma Sankappa is a wide thing. Renunciation. Renunciation, the maximum renunciation is giving up all the things and going forth, dedicating yourself to liberation. That is, we are not so fortunate for that Nekkhamma Sankappa so far. And then the Nekkhamma Sankappa, this side of that kind of going forth, there are so many attachments that we do. You can live in the house without attaching to them. You are not giving with the renounced mind. That is another renunciation. But whatever the attachments you have with certain things in life, you have to renounce little by little. You can live with all what you have inside the house, but not showing a special attachment. Let them be kind of attitude. So that is again shown by the Samma Ditti. Now you are in Samma Sankalpa of renunciation. And the Samma Sati will come to play and show you that this Samma, you are in this thought. Samma Sankappa correctly shows you are in Samma Ditti. And Samma Vayama will allow you to maintain that thought, the one which has risen in your mind, to strengthen and foster. So, Dhamma friends, I think I have Manori, is it time now? Manori?
Yes, I think we can then start the discussion. Agreed.
Yeah,
Yes,
I think
yeah.
because this is a wide topic and I took a lot of time to introduce it, uh, I couldn't explain the other factors, but everybody of you knows that these factors are the Noble Eightfold Path and the factors of Noble Eightfold Path, and how the Samma Ditti and Samma Sati and Samma Vayama play a role in developing all these factors. May all beings be with us.
Thank you very much, Kosala. Much merit to you. I think we have listened to a very, very valuable talk where Kosala has really touched on that point of practice, that cutting edge where at that point where something comes to your mind which is wrong or which is what is supposed to be on the path, how you can recognize it, identify it, and steer out of it, steer onto the right path. So thank you very much with the effort and sati which come again and again, and of course fundamentally with the view, awareness and effort together. Thank you, Kosala. At least that is how I understood it. And I think that is, I think in Ajahn Chah's teachings also, he asks, where is this point of practice? And I think that is what Kosala took a lot of trouble to explain to us very clearly. So now we'll open the floor for questions. We'll go on recording in case there are some valuable discussion points that will come up. So please unmute and ask your questions, please, or make any comments. Thank you, Kosala, for that. Actually, not the type of, just talking about the Eightfold Path, but the practice, and that very point of practice is what you touched on. So much merit to you. Thank you. Any questions? Any comments? We have a large number of very, people immersed in the Dhamma, I can see from the names today, who have joined to listen to Kosala. I'm sure you have comments or questions. Yes, Anuja, go on.
First of all, I'd like to thank Kosala for that excellent talk and for explaining to us how the Noble Eightfold Path factors into our lives um, on a day-to-day basis. Because as you rightly pointed out, Mano, the people who are listening to this talk are all committed towards the practice. So therefore, we are all um, in our daily lives, we are practicing some degree of Samma Sati, because we are all the time aware of how our minds are working. So Kosala explained to us how these the Samma Ditti guides our minds to detect that through Samma Sati, of course, we become aware, and then to detect that this is Miccha, uh, something which is Miccha Sankappa, or it could be also an action that is Miccha. So that way of explaining Kosala is very valuable, because I think it has given me a lot of encouragement, because it shows that we are actually practicing these things every day, because we are all committed to following the path of the Dhamma, and also following the path, hopefully, to enlightenment. So thank you very much, Kosala. Much merit to you.
Thank you, Anuj.
Any other questions, please? And Kosala, it was very valuable to the way you explained or built it up, that there are two levels at which this could be practiced. I mean, no, we all know that at the end of the day, only a very few will, at least that is what the Buddha also said when he took into, some little sand under his nail bed, and he said, the people who will actually, understand this is as little as the amount of grains of sand that on the ground, that's as many as the people there are, but only that such little will. So, however, that doesn't mean we should be discouraged, but on this path, the mundane path and then the supramundane path. So it was useful. Can you explain a little bit more for there are some newcomers also, this giving a few examples of that, say, a speech, take speech, right speech, at the mundane level and the supramundane level, please, Kosala.
Yeah, Manori, now, when a person is practicing the speech factor, he has to avoid or be devoid of, abstain from the four kinds of speech. This is now I'm talking about the mundane, in the mundane life, the worldly individual. So these four kinds of speech is the Miccha Vacha. Miccha Vacha. Now when somebody is talking, he should know whether he is talking false speech, that is telling lies, or telling tales, malicious speech, harsh speech, or idle chatter. Now these are gossiping, in the sense idle chatter is gossiping. Now these are words which are named as Miccha Vacha. So likewise, when somebody is in Miccha Vacha, if he is a practitioner and a dedicated person to liberation, his Samma Ditti will come and show that he is in Miccha Vacha. And the Samma Sati is the one which makes aware, non-judgmental awareness that this is happening. Samma Ditti will show this is Miccha Vacha. And the effort has to be there to deliver you out of the Miccha Vacha and bring you to Samma Vacha. So Samma Vacha is quite the opposite. Miccha Vacha is false speech. Samma Vacha is abstaining from the small false speech. Malicious speech is Miccha Vacha. Abstaining from malicious speech is Samma Vacha. And harsh speech is Miccha Vacha. And abstaining from harsh speech is Samma Vacha. Idle chatter or gossip is Miccha Vacha. And abstaining from gossip is Samma. When we are practicing this, always the awareness, as Anoja quite rightly said, we have to continue with our awareness. That is the seventh factor in the Noble Eightfold Path. So continuously practicing awareness is important for you to pick up all these thoughts that come to our mind. So this is the very four foundations of mindfulness is Samma Sati, or the seventh factor, which comes every now and then. So if you now, some people confuse themselves saying that Aryattangika Magga is the practice of liberation, and Buddha says it is the four foundations. But four foundations of mindfulness is included here. That is Samma Sati. So if you are aware of your body and what is happening in the body, Kaya Anupassana, and if you are aware of your Vedana or the feelings, if you are aware of your minds and the thoughts that come across and the phenomena, that is Samma Sati. I think Samma Sati is a major factor that you have to practice. More you practice, sharper the factor becomes. So in the Samma Vacha, now mundane, you are asking me whether there is supra-mundane Samma Vacha. Supra-mundane Samma Vacha occurs in a noble mind. In the noble mind, the virati pativirati, ayati virati pativirati, Buddha says. In the noble mind, if there is abstinence, if there is refraining and pativirati, if there is no involvement in speech, wrong speech at all, in a noble mind, not in our mind, in a noble mind, that ayati virati pativirati means you are totally abstaining, total abstinence, which occurs to him naturally, because his speech factor is completely developed and matured and maximally matured. So that occurs in the Arahant Magga Chitta. So that is the mind of a noble person without any defilements, at that time. So such a mind having Arati Virati Patti Virati means total abstinence by default. That is what Buddha says. By default, he is abstaining. So that's the answer to your question, Mano.
Thank you, Kosala. There is another question. Samantha, why don't you unmute and ask your question? You have put it on chat. I can read it, but I think it's best that you ask. Samantha?
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Manori. And thank you, Dr. Kosala. That was a very, really valuable and interesting talk, and helped me understanding the Noble Eight Path, and how to practice, put my practice in my meditation. My question is, like, during the day when we are just getting on our ordinary lives, and we have so many jobs to do, so many actions we are taking, especially if you are during stressful situations where you got so many jobs that you're trying to tackle. And how can one stop, like, not reacting adversely, especially if you're frustrated, or if their emotions are high and that sort of thing?
That's a
And so
good
that, yeah,
question. So,
thank you, Doctor.
thank you very much for that question. Now, we are talking about the normal day-to-day life that we are spending.
Yes, may I ask a question? Kosala,
1 minute,
I'm
Dr.
answering.
Sirisena. He's
Can you hear-
answering one question. We'll wait for that, Dr. Sirisena, and then you ask. He's answering one question.
may I ask my question?
I am answering one question at the moment. Dr. Sirisena, I am answering one question at the moment. Answering a question.
Yeah, okay, sorry. Yeah.
Already I am in that. Could you hear me, Dr. Sirisena? I
Yes,
am answering a question.
may I permitted? May I ask my question now?
Now, I am already answering a question at the moment.
I will mute my.
Please wait for a while. And the question is, the stressful situations, the pressure that we go through in our normal day-to-day life. Now, the thing is, even though we are practicing Dhamma, our practice, the amount that we have practiced and the extent to which we have practiced, may be not enough to take the burden of the whole life. But amidst that pressure and the stress, one should get down to practicing the path. But there are certain places Buddha has prescribed. Since we don't have the wisdom of the Buddha has picked and chosen certain characters. There are 6 characters he has described and given different meditation objects to them. So we are now talking in common how to practice the Noble Eightfold Path. That is a must for all of us. At least one day we have to do that. But to overcome the stress and the situations in the life, this may not give a direct solution to you because we have not practiced enough. Now, if we were in the Nekkhamma Sankappa, if we have practiced the right thought or the right resolve in the best way, sometimes you would have been giving up. Whatever come your way, you may be renouncing and giving up, dropping, and you have practiced it in that manner. So that's a kind of thing out of the Eightfold Factors. But metta meditation, karuna meditation, mudita meditation, that kind of meditation, and as Anoja did in the right at the beginning, meditating on the Buddha's qualities may give some people some relief. So this practice, when a person, now you take an example of an Arahant. Now Arahant also started like us, but he started meditating, went forth and sacrificed his life, dedicated on the practice. That is why Buddha recommends going forth for people, because the burden in the life is so much that they won't be able to make up their minds to practice. But Arahants also did the same thing when they were like us. Now their minds are not shaken, unshaken, very stable. Even if somebody jumps in front of him to kill him, he will not shake. And you have heard of Nanda Arahanteri's story. Her son was murdered in front of her, but she was not at all a bit shaken because she knew the Nama Rupa Dhamma. So to come to that state, we have a long way to go. So as we practice, but we will face these things bravely and properly. The day will come when we go through the practice. Thank you. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Kosala. That was very comforting. Thank you. Sadhu.
Dr. Sirisena? Dr. Sirisena, you can...
Yes. Now, Kosala, you are talking of this eightfold path in practice. Now, we are practicing the eightfold path, but in our practice, sometimes there's a very thin line between samma and miccha, which we can't. Now, supposing you have act with some karuna to one person, that particular act may be harsh, something harmful to another person. So here, I think what as a guiding principle, if our intention is the thing that should decide between the samma and the miccha in that situation, because you are acting through kindness, through karuna to one person, it may be inimical to the other person. But nevertheless, in the practical life, daily life, you got to do something in a situation. So in that situation, our intention may be the guide to which is right or wrong. Am I right? Or have you got to act in a different way in the situation?
No, you are right, sir, you are right. Because now when you say Samma Sankappa includes the intention. When you work with Samma Sankappa, it's your intention that works. So you are quite right. But now according to Buddha Dhamma, there are many ways of handling a problem. Sometimes we may be a little poor in the knowledge of tackling something in the best way. That happens to even me. When you handle something, you may be not the best person to handle a problem without causing a bit of a hurting to another person. Your intention is right, but there can be a way, even that can be mitigated and handle the situation. So I think since we are not the experts of handling everything that we come across, we may find it very difficult to do something without displeasing others. Even Buddha did that. Even Buddha has to admonish certain monks in a harsh way. But the word which came out with a kind thought and for his good, actually. So in that manner, what you said is right. The thought has a big bearing on it. Yes, Dr. Silva.
Thank you, Kosala. Thank you.
Any other questions? Because now it's the time is up. We can wind up if there are no other questions. Thank you, Kosala.
Here, Manori, I have a question.
Yes. Go ahead.
I am very happy to hear the Namarupa Parityajanana somewhat from Dr. Kosala. And when we analyze, you have to look into certain things. And to bring out Namarupa on this occasion for Samantha Jatika's question, and I believe it is somewhat, you must know all around what is going on in the Eightfold Path, not subjected to one section. So Dr. Kosala brought up the Jnana Rupa, Nama Rupa Parichedana for a certain amount, beginning of Nama Rupa Parichedana. So I'm very happy about that one. Thank you so much, Dr. Kosala.
Thank you for that.
Any other comments or questions?